Ladies and gentlemen, and ladies, this is about to be the craziest show you ever seen in your life. First of all, I want to say a shout out to y'all for going and letting your voice be heard at Zeffy because they released the money. Scott Jennings goes on to CNN and just whoop a soy boy into submission. And then Mamdani shows up on a Ver, and we know how silly that is. Before we get to that, we have to talk about Don Lemonhead going after Nicki Minaj. Roll the clip. Or I say roll the clip. I'm used to rolling the clip. Welcome to the show.
If you don't believe that we are in a fight today, you're sleeping under a rock. If you get hit and you lay down and you cry and you fold up in the corner, definitely you will not win the fight. We show up to win. Our culture needs a lot of you young people in here to step up and stand out. There is nothing or no principality, power, division, devil can stop us when we're united. They can only get you when you're divided. When I see the American flag, I see us progressing to something that can be awesome and great. And if you don't plan on winning then, you might as well go on the day.
Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, welcome back. We're going to get into a lot of interesting stuff today. But first, I want to tell you guys about something that I've been working on. Obviously, me and my business partner, Jim, have been working on this for a long period of time. But I got to introduce to you Verdict. Now, bring it up on the screen so the people can see it. I'm telling you guys right now, I have not tasted a bourbon like this ever in my life. We went through rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds of making sure the taste was right, making sure it was perfect. And I'm telling you, and when you get it and you try it, you will be able to give us a review and let me know if I'm lying. I have never had a bourbon this smooth with this much character that didn't cost hundreds of dollars. So we took a while to produce it. We took a while to get the taste right, but it's on point. Verdict, guilty, which is a straight 6-year aged, or you get not guilty with a hint of brown sugar in it. The best bourbon that I've ever tasted. So make sure if you're interested, go on. You must be 21 and over, obviously, but you make sure you drink responsibly. We don't do the irresponsible drinking. We don't do the drinking to get drunk and intoxicated. We do the fine dining experience when it comes to bourbon, all right? So all you got to do is go to Verdict Spirits, verdictreservespirits.com, verdictreservespirits.com. We'll put the link in the description section. People are already just going ham. I mean, hundreds of people have already pre-ordered. Should be available later this month. We'll start shipping them out. But I'm telling you, the best on the market, and it's $59.99. I could talk about this the whole show, but y'all go get you some Verdict and let me know which one you like the most, the guilty or not guilty. Let's get the Don Lemon Juice. Tell me why this guy has become the dumbest person on the internet. The dumbest person on the internet. I want y'all to listen to Don Lemon after he get exposed for participating in a unruly gathering. This is not protesting. It's called an unruly gathering where they're breaking a law at a church. Now he's getting backlash. Potentially he could be charged. And what does he do? He go on a campaign to talk about white supremacy. Roll the clip.
And there's a certain degree of entitlement. I think people who are, in the religious groups like that, it's not the type of Christianity that I practice, but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from.
Time out. What do you mean the Christianity you practice, Don Lemon? What Christianity are you referring to? What planet are you on? If you ask me, there is nothing about Don Lemon that say anything that have anything to do with Christ. First of all, you're married to another man. That right there is not Christ-like. And then your behaviors, right? Your behaviors are also a contributing factor to one believing that you're not a Christian. You don't even talk about Jesus Christ. You don't even stand up for things that are Christ-like. Let him finish.
but I think that they're entitled, and that entitlement comes from a supremacy, a white supremacy. And they think that this country was built for them, that it is a Christian country, when actually we left England because we wanted religious freedom. It's religious freedom, but only if you're a Christian and only if you're a white male, pretty much. And so, yeah, I absolutely 100%, but it's an intimidation tactic. And, I said, I don't understand how I've become the face of it when I was a journalist. I do understand that I'm the biggest name there. And I'm also, as I was on with my producers this morning, you and Kylie talk all the time. My producers were saying, I said, how did I become the face of this? And my producer said, Don, you're a gay black man in America.
I don't get these people obsession with race and gay. To be honest, if Don Lemon didn't flash his boyfriend in front of everybody, I wouldn't even know. Well, I ain't gonna say I didn't know he was gay. He got gay tendencies, but I wouldn't know what he doing in the bedroom. But instead, he flaunting his white supremacist husband. He swear. Now think about this. If Don Lemon is a Christian, I would assume, according to the scripture, you're supposed to be equally yoked. Well, this don't count anyway, but I'm just hypothetically speaking. You married a person, they must be a Christian too. And so you talking about white supremacy, yet you married a white Christian. It's all mixed up. How do you talk about white people so bad, but you laying up with one every night? Make it make sense to me. And this whole thing about being gay and black in America, nobody gives a flying flip who you smashing at night. Just be a good person. I don't understand where everybody get lost in this. Nobody care, bro, that you know what I'm saying, that you want the man on top of you every night. But just be a good, decent human being. But what they do is because to overcompensate for their terrible behavior, they have to start throwing out insults. But let's add another clip, because this is a contribute, like what we used to do when I was a cop is when you did a crime in front of a kid, we considered it to be contributing to the delinquency of a minor. What Don Lemon is doing every time he do an interview is contributing to the delinquency of his foolery. It's like an aggravated exposure to how stupid he is. All right, let's play Don Lemonhead real quick. And Cam Higbee just took him to the cleaners. Roll the clip.
The president is not an immigrant.
He's a second-generation immigrant.
He's a descendant of an immigrant. But
He's a second-generation immigrant.
Okay, that's like saying
His
I'm
wife
an
is a
enslaved
first-generation
person.
immigrant.
You would say that I'm an enslaved person.
No, it's not,
I'm a
because you're
descendant
not
of an
2
immigrant.
generations away from an enslaved person.
How do you know?
Because nobody was enslaved 2 generations ago.
Yes, they were. There were people who were enslaved and indentured servants 2 generations ago.
There was
You
not
go to the
chattel
South and
slavery
see-
2 generations ago.
Slavery was abolished, 200 years ago?
My mother was born in the 40s. My grandmother was born in the early 1900s, and before that,
Okay,
those
was she a
descendants
slave?
were slaves.
Were either of them a slave?
Yes, no, but my great grandmother was a slave.
No. Donald Trump is a
Oh
second
my God,
generation
you're going to tell me
immigrant.
what
His wife is a
my
first
great
generation
grandmother
immigrant.
was a slave?
She wasn't a chattel slave.
How you're qualifying what slavery is?
How are you qualifying what slavery is? Don Lemon, just admit you don't know what you're talking about. You just stupid. You said 2 generations ago. You didn't say 3, 4, 5 generations ago. You said 2 generations ago that your grandmother was in chattel slavery. I don't get what the obsession is. These people are just silly, man. Let's go on. We got a couple more clips I want to get to. Don Lemon Juice, and I love this brother right here. Like when I see smart black people, it makes me excited and happy. And I'm very grateful to God that it's still some of us out here left. Because it seems like almost every black person you see that's a star on television, I don't know what Kool-Aid they drinking. But they seem to all be falling for whatever the propaganda is. But here's a brother that got common sense. And I said this yesterday, that Don Lemon would never go into a mosque and do what he did. He'll never in his life go into a mosque and claim to be a Muslim knowing he laying up with a man every night. But let's see what the brother say right here. Roll the clip.
Yeah, Don Lemon knew better than to go to a black church. He would have never tried that.
Facts.
It would have been a totally different scenario that would have happened. Totally different outcome. Because we don't play about stuff like that. You're not going to come in and you think he would have got an interview? Are you kidding me? He wouldn't have got past the aunties at the front. They would have shut that down. He's not even getting in through the front door. Yeah, we don't play that. In the name of Jesus, he wouldn't have got in. You're talking about dudes reformed from the streets, giving the testimony aunties never gave up on them. You're going to assert yourself into that situation, bro? I'm scared to have my phone on ring when I'm at church. It's just a different atmosphere, you know? I don't even want to say what would have happened that day, but a lot of righteous indignation would have went down. We would have righteously indignated that whole situation, shut it all down. You think he's going to lean into a black pastor? He's going to lean in like that, tell him, hey, don't touch me, and lean in on him with his auntie watching in the front row? You think he's going to do that? Bro, I would pay pay-per-view. I would pay to see that. Don Lemon knew better. He would have never done that, bro. He knows. He's not dumb.
Let me tell you this real quick before we go to the other clip, but Donald Trump actually responding to Don Lemon Juice. But before we get to that clip, he is 100% correct. My church, I went to Emmanuel Grace Apostolic Church, Holiness Church. Women didn't even wear pants at the church. And our pastor had an armor bearer. And I don't know if y'all know what armor bearers are, but like our pastor, and I was an armor bearer for a short period of time. I was in training, so I did armor bearer stuff for a little bit. But that's like the pastor's right-hand man and almost like doubled as the pastor's bodyguard. So when the pastor's preaching, his armor bearer is standing next to him or standing off to the side. If somebody approached the pastor, the armor bearer is going to take care of business. 100%. That's what I would have done. I protect the pastor. You're not going to approach the podium. You're not going to approach my pastor. You will get whooped. You will get spanked in the house of the Lord. We're going to have to throw holy water on you and drag you outside. Put some holy water on your wounds. Just drop it in there. He bleed. Put a towel on him. Put a blanket over you. Furniture moving. I remember a guy acted up in our church. I may have said this to y'all yesterday. It was like, what? Every man in the church came around him. Some was in the front and the side. He was drunk. And we like, bro, these outbursts, you can't do that in here. You do it one more time, we're going to put you out. He tried to resist a little bit. Yeah, we threw him out. If he hadn't have gave up, we would have threw him down the stairs. But he relinquished his power, and we helped escort him down. We would have threw him on the curb, head bumped and everything. All right. Let's get to Donald Trump's response to Don Lemon Juice. Roll the clip.
So this is what the people are trying to protect, because all ICE wants to do is get them out of our country, bring them to prisons and jails and mental institutions from where they came. That's all they want to do. They're patriots, and they have to be abused by guys like Don Lemon, who's a loser, lightweight. I saw him the way he walked in that church. It was terrible. I have such respect for that pastor. He was so calm. He was so nice. He was just accosted. What they did in that church was horrible yesterday.
And you know what's funny, man? You know the thing that bothers me right now that I know is going to make me even more upset is there's dumb, fake Christians that right now are justifying what happened at another church where people were accosted. Every church in America on Sunday morning and on Wednesday night, if y'all go to a real church and they got Bible study, they should be talking about the fact that this is unacceptable. I don't care what side of the aisle you are on. Somebody is working for ICE and you go and bombard their church during service and commit crimes. But Don Lemon didn't stop with running in the church, running his mouth, talking about white supremacy, although he laying up with a white man, working for nothing but white people. I bet his producer's white. But all he doing is pumping white supremacy. Then he goes after Nikki. Come on, let's put Nikki's tweet on the screen. Nicki Minaj. Now we gotta pray for Nikki because the hood came out a little bit. And she said she put the somebody put emoji over there. She didn't put the emoji there. Her original thing had a cuss word in there. Or maybe not a cuss word, but a descriptive word of a pee-pee she put in there. So Don Lemon, pee-pee, you can read. I don't need to read that to y'all. She said, how dare you? I want that thug in jail. He would never do this to any other religion. Lock him up. So what does the gay man do? This is what he does. And I'm not saying every gay dude is like this, but the weird ones like him, this is what they do. Let's show him his response. I think we got clip 202. Look at him responding. Just like his daddy wasn't there. Roll the clip.
So people have been asking me about responding to Nicki Minaj's unhinged, homophobic tweet about me. I usually don't respond to this stuff, but let me just say this. Nicki Minaj, stop talking about shit for which you know nothing about. This is out of your depth, by the way, and you are a homophobic bigot. You don't care about African Americans, and you're not an African American. From what I know, you are reportedly an undocumented citizen, so you should be deported under Donald Trump's rules. And the other thing is that your family members, you have one family member who is reportedly a sex offender, the other family...
Time out. When they don't like what you say, now she ain't African American. Negro, you ain't an African American. You ain't never been to Africa. You know the dudes that come over here now that are from Nigeria and they're straight African blood, no mixing. They come from Nigeria. They come from other places, other countries that are on the continent of Africa. They are Africans. And when they become Americans, they are African American. You're not an African American, bro. I ain't never been to Africa. I got my DNA comes from Nigeria and all kind of other places. So how do I just claim Nigeria and not claim the European places where some of my bloodline came through? Quit being stupid. Don Lemon, put him on the screen. Don Lemon, you light-skinned. You cannot tell me that you ain't mixed up with something. You light-skinned, bro. You ain't straight from the continent. You light-skinned. Somebody mixed somewhere, massa, or somebody mixed up with you and your family bloodline somewhere, bro. Have you been to Africa? You see the brothers in Africa? They black. They kind of blurple. A little bit of purple in there. You light-skinned, bro. You mixed. All right. Come on. Was that it? Now let him finish real quick, and we got breaking news. Let him finish.
Remember, your husband or whatever, a sex offender is your husband, and one of them is reportedly a pedophile, and you have nerve to talk about me and what you think that I do? Nicki Minaj, get a life. Stop being a pick-me. You should have put a pick-me doll on that damn tweet instead of a Chucky doll, because you are nothing but a pick-me. And I choose not to pick you. And so should black people, and so should gay people. Shouldn't buy your music.
Of course you ain't gonna
Clock
pick her.
that.
Of course you ain't a picker because you like pee-pee. You little weirdo. Quit trying to act like you so high and mighty, and you act like you the virtuous one. To be honest, you the weird one out of the two of y'all. And like I don't understand how people grandstand. Like, you need to humble yourself. Because to be honest, you could talk about Nicki Minaj and her relationships, but bro, you sleeping with a man every night. Do you understand how biologically that don't make sense? God made you with a one-way street. You only go one way down the street. Y'all going back up. Don Lemon, at some point you gonna have to get surgery or something. Y'all not ain't supposed to be doing it like that. God didn't make you like that. So quit trying to act like you all virtuous, claim you a Christian, and acting like you somehow the standard of a relationship. I mean, you wearing a diaper after a while. All right. People think I'm playing. Go look at the research. Men that be doing that stuff like that, they mess their stuff up. And they can't even hold. They can't even hold. They. You know what I'm saying? All right. Don't ask me. Just go on the internet. Breaking news: the DOJ subpoenas the offices of Walz, Ellison, and Mayor Frey. Let's play the clip. Roll it.
And John, before we get to that, I want to get to the breaking news we have just heard. The FBI has apparently just served subpoenas to several officials here in Minneapolis, including members of the office of Governor Tim Walz. We will bring you more information as we get it on those subpoenas. Meantime, the number of protesters out here at the federal building is diminishing every day, it seems. But the war of words between local officials and the Trump administration is only getting stronger. The latest flashpoint, as you mentioned, that protest at a St. Paul church on Sunday, during which several dozen protesters disrupted the service, screaming at members of the congregation and screaming anti-ICE slogans. In the meantime, the president himself is urging DHS to make a lot more of the number of criminals that are being arrested during Operation Metro Surge. The president saying on Truth Social, quote, show the numbers, names, and faces of the violent criminals and show them now. The people will start supporting the patriots of ICE instead of the highly paid troublemakers, anarchists, and agitators. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar said on X, quote, stop terrorizing people with your fake PR about criminals in Minneapolis, because the only people on the streets of Minneapolis you are arresting are law-abiding citizens. And
time out. I think that's it. That was. Let her finish the clip. Let her finish. Let him finish.
Held a press conference a short time ago in which they accused what they said was a small group of federal agents of merely stopping people through racial profiling. Listen here.
If Americans.
Our clip cut off. I wish we had the rest of that one. But let me just say this real quick. And this for your auntie that's a stewhead that been listening to propaganda all day. Are you guys completely stupid, or are you just kind of stupid? There is no way whatsoever that you can be stupid enough to believe that ICE is arresting just regular citizens. Do you know how big Minneapolis is? And you telling me that they just walking down random streets. They have warrants. They've deported and detained over 600,000 people. And you telling me they're not doing nothing? It's just rapists, murderers, gangbangers, people committing violent crimes. These people are getting arrested by the hundreds of thousands. Like, my mind is blown at how stupid and irresponsible some of these leaders are. They're literally saying that ICE isn't arresting anybody. They're just arresting American citizens. So Scott Jennings, you know, he clutch. Scott Jennings is like Michael Jordan in his prime. Scott Jennings is the Michael Jordan of television. He don't miss. So this is the foolishness at CNN trying to come against the things that are factual that Scott Jennings is putting out there. Let's roll the first clip. Roll it.
Thinking about a couple of things. One, last summer, if I were sitting in a church right now in Minneapolis and a bunch of people burst in, I'd be on edge, because last summer a shooter showed up at a Catholic church in Minneapolis and shot a bunch of kids. 2 died. I think 30 people were injured, 26 were kids. And so the terror in that church, I think, is probably warranted, if for no other reason than we've seen radical violence at a church in the not-too-distant past. We've also seen, attempts to create...
Time out. Look at that. I wanted to call a word, but the Lord is calling me to greater things. Look at that hamburger heifer. I just want you to look at her face while Scott Jennings is telling the truth. Look at the disgust on her face. Who could marry a woman this stupid? Roll the clip.
Create violence and mayhem and fear in churches around the country, synagogues and other places. And so I feel like the radical left is somewhat emboldened right now to go up to and now into places of worship. It sounds like the FACE Act is what they're going to use. I've also heard today from some sources that the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871, they may look at that for bringing charges to Don Lemon and these radical leftists that went into this church. I think if they don't do something to these people who did this, you're going to see it proliferate in churches across the country, and that will be very regrettable.
You make a good point about the issue, but it isn't necessary to say the radical left did this. It's
Why?
protesting.
It's necessary to stop.
You're making it political. It's legal.
Tell the truth?
How do you know? You know who was there? You went through the videos and looked at all the faces
I watched
already?
the videos, and I also looked at the list of people that they themselves published. It looks like the radical left to me. I mean,
you know all the people in Minnesota who are on the radical left.
I mean, they published a list of the Black Lives Matter activists.
all as the same
Don, who I think we all know here is the radical left.
Don says he was there covering it.
Okay.
Don can speak for himself on this, but that's what he says he was.
I can't imagine being the only smart person just around you at all times. Like, Scott Jennings is a hero, dude. These people are so stupid. That dumb chicken wing was shaking her head and getting upset and huffing and puffing when Scott Jennings specifically mentioned an incident that happened in Minnesota where they went into that church and they shot up them people. They killed 2 kids and they injured a whole bunch of other kids. What are you shaking your head about? That factually happened. He says the radical left and the other dumb woman got on there and was like, you don't have to say the radical left. I swear before, let me not use that. I put my life on it. If there were conservatives doing that, they would have no qualms about saying MAGA Republicans did this. This is a radical left position. So it's not like it's odd for somebody to deduce that this was radical leftists that went into the church. Many of the individuals who led the march are radical leftists, self-proclaimed. Don Lemon is a radical leftist. Everybody knows he's the reporter. What are you ignorant folk talking about? All right, continue. And this brother right here, they finally put a black man, because I was losing hope in the people of the melanin. Because every black person they put on there is stupider than the other ones. And they finally get a brother on there. They need to feature more black people on there so people can see that all black people are not silly. Because they make women look bad, because every woman on there is silly. And all the black people are silly. Can they start putting reasonable women and reasonable black people on there so we don't get confused? That there are smart black people and there are smart women. This brother was 100% right. And guess what? Ignorant folk or ignorant woman was shaking her head at what that brother was saying. Roll the clip.
I totally disagreed. Because of what a pastor does for a living or what they're involved in politically gives no one the right. There was a child in that video who was sitting in their father's arms, shaking, confused, trying to figure out what's going on when these people burst into this church. And Lee, what I would say is people have a First Amendment right and the ability to go and protest against ICE. If they don't like ICE, be my guest, go protest. But those people in that church, I would say and, not but, those people in that church absolutely have a First Amendment right to gather and worship the God of their choosing. And I'll say a point here is it is actually Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the day that we recognize his contribution to the country today. His mother in 1974 was shot and killed in a church because of political violence, because the KKK wanted to insert their political will over a community. This is remarkably similar to that. I remember my great-grandfather telling me stories about church bombings in the South. Remarkably similar to that. Everyone at this table should have no...
So the protest is similar to the person getting shot.
Let me finish, please. Everyone at this table, please, should have absolutely no issue saying that this was wrong, it was reprehensible behavior, and this is not the appropriate way that we address our grievances in this country.
So which innocent people are and are not allowed to get shot as far as you're concerned?
That's not what I'm talking about. People have a right in this country, regardless of what your political convictions are, to worship freely and safely, and no one should watch a child on camera like what we saw trembling in their father's arms
Wait
because
until
of
you
your
see
political
what ICE
convictions.
does to children
I'm sorry,
and their families.
Your political convictions do not overstep someone's ability to worship safely
No,
and
but
securely.
stop making it about
Did
I call that into question?
I'm sorry, guys.
If
I
you're talking
respect you,
about
but there's no but. There's no but.
There's a little
It's
bit of a
full stop
different
thing.
issue because
Smartest response to that. Like, how can you argue with the response? There's no way, shape, form, or fashion that should be acceptable to barge into a church and disrupt the place of worship. You guys could protest outside. You could protest down the street, but you bombard it into a church and you would never do it at a mosque. Why don't you do it at a black church? Y'all did it because they were white and because they were Christian, and it's wrong. Then they want to bring up, if you see what ICE is doing, if you see what these illegals are doing to people's kids, why don't you have a problem with that? All right, next clip.
law enforcement
You're saying
step down and
illegals as
surrender.
if they're only
How about
targeting-
the government comes clean if you're saying they're doing that? Doesn't seem like they're doing that. Their actions do not speak
I recognize-
to those words.
I recognize
You don't
you
get to
haven't
say the
reviewed
word
all the material.
illegals anymore.
And you have.
The
I don't.
diverse, the percentage.
Who are you to tell me what I can and can't? I've never met you, brother. I can say whatever I want. They're illegal aliens, and that's what the law calls them, illegal aliens. That's what I'm going to call them.
You can't say illegals anymore because ICE is directly targeting legal citizens of this country. And
How are you going to enforce your edict on me, just out of curiosity?
Listen, I understand.
But just listen to his point about illegal.
No, I want to know why he gets to
It's
instruct
not, you're
my
changing the
students.
topic.
Hang on.
I want to know.
You're making a point
making an
about the
emotional
people being
plea.
arrested. Go
I
ahead.
understand that your job is predicated on just getting increasingly more demented every single week, and that the audience comes back to see if perhaps
Make your point.
My point is that you're saying the word illegals, but
it's in
you
federal
don't
law.
even really know what's happening. Or actually, I think you do, and
Sure,
you're
I
just
do.
doing this on purpose. But
Yes,
the truth
because
is,
I want the law enforced.
they are not just targeting illegal immigrants.
They
They
are.
are targeting natural-born U.S. citizens.
They are not.
That is a fact. You
They are
cannot
not.
deny that. I mean, you can on national television.
They are
deny
not.
facts all the time.
They
You've
are
done it a
not.
couple times in this very episode.
I still want to know how you're going to enforce your language edicts on me.
We'll take that up.
How are we going to enforce it?
We're going to take that up. at the break.
Scott, like, come on, pull up then. All right, what you gonna do? You're a child. Stay in a child's place. But I got some facts for you here. 8 USC, or it's U.S. Code 1324. Multiple times the word illegal alien is presented. I'll read it for you. Any person who knowingly or in reckless disregard of the facts that an alien is an illegal alien transports or moves or attempts to transport or move such illegal alien within the United States is guilty of that statute. Illegal alien phrases appears multiple times throughout the U.S. Code 1324. 8 U.S. Code 1357 also brings up the word illegal alien. Let me just give you an example. This term, immigration enforcement, includes the identification, adherence, detention, or removal of illegal aliens from the United States of America. I can go down the list. Illegal alien, illegal alien, illegal alien is in the book. If you don't want to say illegal alien, get them to change the language in the book. Why are you not adhering to the language in the book? This is textbook propaganda. They want to change language so they can change the meaning and the effect of what is being said. You are illegally in this country. You're not undocumented. You are illegal. You're not supposed to be here. There are people that live next door to you that are also immigrants, but they're legally here. I don't know how stupid people got to be to not understand this. What are we talking about? I'm driving down the street, headed to the headquarters today, and I see some Mexicans, and that's all that work out here. I don't know what everybody else doing. Bunch of Mexicans working on everything you can think of. And I drive by, and I say, these folk ain't doing nothing wrong out here. They just out here. But if they're illegally here, and somebody rounded them up and took them, I don't feel bad. You know why you cutting this grass that you ain't supposed to be here. Or they're cutting the grass because they came here the right way and they're looking for a better life. They're working and providing for their families legally. So I don't judge. That ain't my job. But if ICE came here and they start rounding people up, that ain't got nothing to do with me. You know you wasn't supposed to be here in the first place. What do y'all expect for us to do as a country? You want us to just brush it under the rug? Because we might hurt somebody's feelings? Y'all care more about illegals than you care about American citizens. Y'all ain't gonna make heaven acting like this. You ain't gonna make heaven. Let's go on. Is that all my Scott Jennings stuff? No, we got one more. I had to bring this up. Make sure you hit my cue. My Alex Jones cue. No, not this one. Not this one. I want to go to the next clip. We could go to 305. So I want you to hit my Alex Jones cue, though. Roll the clip.
You know, it sounds like it should be in the top 10 choices is a Palestinian person, which does not appear on this peace board. And that's how we know that Donald Trump's alleged ceasefire, which the state of Israel has violated countless times, by the way, is just a facade. And
you're going to let the aggressors in this war onto the peace board? I don't think so.
Who are the aggressors in this war?
Hamas, the Palestinians, Hamas that invaded Israel, that raped, murdered, kidnapped, and tortured the Israelis. That
are you
took
claiming
hostages,
right now that the state of Israel has never committed rape, torture, or murder against innocent Palestinians? Can you make that claim?
The entire reason we had this war is because of October the 7th. So no, I don't think they should be invited to be on the peace board until they, I don't know, demilitarize and do the rest of the things they're supposed to do.
I don't know.
All right, I want to go back to 303. This was the clip I really wanted to see. I missed it. Let's play the clip. And this is why CNN is so foolish. And I bet you they won't have this kid on there no more. Roll the clip.
And he's basically playing risk because people hurt his feelings, or people ostensibly hurt his feelings. So I am appreciative that the president is being transparent about this. I would love it if he was more transparent about the human sex trafficking network that he was a part of, but you can't win them all.
Cameron's grateful that the president is being transparent about the Nobel Peace Prize and his desires for Greenland. Scott, what do you think about that?
You going to let that sit? Are we going to claim here on CNN that the president is part of a global sex trafficking ring, or?
Well,
I mean,
we're going to talk about the Epstein file. Scott, I will do the fact checking as we go along here. Repeat what you said about the global sex trafficking ring.
That Donald Trump was provably very involved with it.
Okay, we'll get to that later. I mean, Donald Trump has never been charged with any crimes in relation to Jeffrey Epstein. But
let's be adults
we'll talk about that.
Let's be serious.
Satisfied?
Let's be serious. He was trying to come back, and the guy was like, no, because that's defamation. There is no evidence, there's no documentation that Donald Trump was involved materially in a sex trafficking ring. The president in a sex, do you know CNN will lose in a lawsuit? Donald Trump has already won a few of them. I mean, for hundreds of millions of dollars. I almost wish Scott Jennings didn't say nothing. Well, I like he said it because it draws attention to it, but like, you just defamed the president. I mean, anybody. And I'll say this, and we're going to move on real quick because I'm running out of time. But like, if a Republican got on TV and said, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a politician that wasn't involved in something crazy. Maybe we go Joe Biden. Because I don't think that there was any accusation. If somebody said Joe Biden was involved in a pedophile ring, if a Republican said that on TV, call him out. You can't just make up stuff because you mad at somebody. All right. Let's go to Mom Dunny on The View, and I'm getting out of here. All right. I didn't cover everything. We'll get it tomorrow. Mom Dunny on The View. Play. Hold on. Should we start with that, or should we start with the fun clip? Start with this or the fun one? All right, let's start with. Now, I want to play, before we get to him on The View, I want to play the real clip. I want to play the real clip of Mr. Dum Dum on Miss Rachel. Roll it.
The mayor on the bus says, hello, friends. Hello, friends. Hello, friends. The mayor on the bus says, hello, friends. All through the town. The money on the bus goes clink, clink, clink.
The buses are going to be free, though.
That's so wonderful. But this is like my song, and the kids like to do it. Okay. Actually, I have another one. Okay. Yeah, I have another one. The babies on the bus go where?
Aren't the babies happy about the childcare?
They're so happy. Actually, the parents are really happy. But this is like my big hit. I need to
This is your show.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Propaganda. What in the does this have to do with kids? Okay. And you know, she doing stuff for little bitty kids. What does that got to do with Mom Donnie talking about the bus is going to be free? What the do a kid know about a bus being free? And childcare. All right, this is the real interview that Mom Donnie had with Miss Rachel. Roll the clip.
Hi, friends. We are so excited to indoctrinate you today. Yay!
Hello, kids, and thanks for having me, Miss Rachel. I'm your mayor, Zoran Kamidami.
The mayor on the bus says tax the white people more, so much more. See the liberals sleeping till it's nearly noon. Shall we wake them with a merry tune? They're so still. Are they ill? Wake up, little liberals.
Going to a protest, punch, punch, punch. Going to a protest, punch, punch, punch. Going to a protest, punch, punch, punch. And get paid, hooray!
If you want prostitution decriminalized, clap your hands. If you want prostitution decriminalized, clap your hands. Mayor Mom Donnie, do you have anything to say?
Yes, Miss Rachel, I just want to say thank you so much for having me, and I just want to teach the kids one simple term: democratic socialism. Kids, line up for your bread slices, okay? You're going to need to learn what a bread line is. Here you go. Little Timmy, here you go.
Oh, I love that lady. Y'all got to go find her. I don't know her name. We'll put her links in the description. She makes fun of Mom Donnie all the time. It's the funniest thing I ever seen. You should have seen the one when she did Sharia law. She goes, Sharia law. And then she had a doll wrapped up in the hilarious. Now let's watch him on The View. Pull it up. I'm running out of time. Roll the clip.
Well, you've been on the job, for 3 weeks. Yeah. So
and ain't done sugar honey iced tea.
I'll be honest, it feels incredible.
Yeah.
This is the dream of a lifetime. Mm-hmm. And we've always wanted to build a city government that moves as fast as New Yorkers do. Mm-hmm. When a New Yorker's trying to walk somewhere, you don't get in their way.
Right.
City government, it hasn't felt like that for a long time. Mm-hmm. So we've wanted to say that there's not going to be any problem too big or too small for us to address. So day one, we put bad landlords on notice right after that inauguration speech. Mm-hmm. Day 6, we fixed a bump on the Williamsburg Bridge. Day 8, we announced more than $1 billion in funding for universal child care.
Time out. I just want to address we put bad landlords on notice. This fool is proposing that they have rent control. That means that the landlord cannot raise the rent. I don't know what business some of y'all idiots have ever owned. The reasoning behind landlords raising the rent is because the money is shorter every year with inflation, meaning your money is worth less. So when there's inflationary behavior in the market, that means that they have to raise things a little higher to cover their cost because their cost is going up. Now you're saying that a landlord cannot raise their cost of living up and they have to keep the rent the same, but you want them to fix stuff and you want them to renovate. You want them to have all these demands, but then they can't raise their own income to pay for the demands. Now, what do you think is going to happen in these apartment complexes when they cannot raise rent and they're barely making enough money to get by because their margins are thin? They're going to close the apartment complex and nobody's going to have anywhere to live. All right, come on, continue.
That was a huge bump, by the way.
That was a huge bump.
Where's that money coming from?
That's coming from the state. And what that does is it allows us to fix universal
It's coming
childcare
from the state. You are a mayor. You don't control the financial dealings the state governor has to approve those. The mayor makes a suggestion, but claims that the money is coming from the state. You only way you can do something and guarantee is the money is coming from the city. He did not get approval from the state yet. So he's barking up or selling wolf tickets to you, claiming that these things are going to happen, and they're not approved, and he can't approve them. Roll the clip.
Year-olds and deliver it for 2-year-olds. We actually have a mother in the audience, Mallory, who is here with us and who, when the announcement was made, texted her husband to say, it might be time for a second kid. And I think so often we think that these are decisions families are making on their own, but really we're giving them no choice when we say that childcare costs $25,000, $26,000 a year. Now it's something that they can actually get for free.
Right. So,
y'all deserve what y'all getting, bro. I'm just saying, y'all. I hope New York come crumbling down, and then y'all elect somebody that makes sense. It's free. Just in thin air, I get in the office and now everything is free. Like, it's like a kid. Daddy, the toys at Walmart are free. No, they're not. You get them free because I'm paying for them. And I got to work to make enough money to pay for you. You know how stupid this is? If you can't afford childcare, don't have children until you're prepared financially to afford them. And you sorry son of a guns that want to milk off the system and everybody else's gains. If the childcare costs too much, how about you stay at home with your kids? Some of y'all want to work on a job just to pay for childcare. That's stupid. You might as well stay at home and take care of your own kids. But you want to make your life decisions and everybody else pay for them. All right. We got a couple more clips and I got to get out of here, I promise. Roll it.
let's talk about the unfortunate situation unfolding in Minnesota since the fatal ICE shooting of Renee Good, which you bluntly called a murder. The Trump administration is reportedly readying troops for deployment and investigating the Democratic mayor of Minneapolis and the governor of Minnesota for impeding immigration agents. How are you reacting to everything that you are seeing? And importantly, do you worry they'll target New York and you?
Look, I think first, I don't know how else to describe what we saw in Minnesota. People ask me, why did I say the word murder? I asked them to look at that video and tell me what they would call it. And we are being asked to not believe our own eyes. It's time to be truthful with people. It is terrifying to see what's happening there. And it's terrifying to see all of this happening in the name of public safety. And I've said this directly to the president, that these ICE raids, they are cruel, they are inhumane, they do nothing to deliver that public safety. In fact, what they do is leave a sense of fear amongst so many. And, you know, I represent a city of 8.5 million people. More than 3 million New Yorkers are immigrants. I'm one of them. And what we've seen this administration do is transform.
They're not illegal. Why are you conflating legal and illegal? That like you guys should be able to see, like, all jokes aside, you should be able to see the manipulation in what these people are saying. Why are you conflating illegal and legal immigrants? Legal immigrants don't get deported. People may be detained, but they will be released if they're inappropriately or inaccurately detained. They don't get deported if they're not illegally in this country. Stop lying. And it's funny that you could talk about ICE's involvement, but you won't talk about the people who are bludgeoning ICE agents, shooting them, assaulting them, damaging vehicles. Like, if they were really authentically trying to get to a resolution, they would be able to address the issues, and they should be able to address, you know, the issues with the rioters and the issues with ICE. But they don't mention the rioters at all. None of the violence. And I'm gonna tell you this too. This is how you know you're being propagated to. They won't mention the arrests that ICE agents are actually making on rapists and criminals and murderers. How do they deport 600,000 people if they're just going after citizens? It's insane to me. Last one is gonna pee you off. And it was the craziest thing I ever heard in my life. 4:02, we're gonna end the show with this clip. I hope you're sitting down, hope you have your seatbelt on, This is the craziest, most diabolical sugar honey iced tea that I have heard today. Roll the clip.
There have been renewed calls from prominent Democrats to abolish ICE. I want to know where you come down on abolishing ICE and if you believe that ICE has any legitimate law enforcement role.
You know, I am in support of abolishing ICE, and I'll tell you why. Because what we see is an entity that has no interest in fulfilling its stated reason to exist. We're seeing a government agency that is supposed to be enforcing some kind of immigration law, but instead what it's doing is terrorizing people, no matter their immigration status, no matter the facts of the law, no matter the facts of the case. And I'm tired of waking up every day and seeing a new image of someone being dragged out of a car, dragged out of their home, dragged out of their life. What we need to see is humanity. And there is a way to care about immigration in this city and in this country with a sense of humanity. What we're seeing from ICE is not it, and we have not seen that from them in a long, long time.
They have arrested thousands of criminals, hundreds of thousands. The fact that you're illegally in this country is criminal. It's criminal to start with. What, like him saying that they're going to abolish ICE, who's going to enforce immigration laws? The state cannot enforce federal law. We've only been sworn and trained and certified on a state level. You cannot enforce laws cross-jurisdictionally. When I was certified in the state of Arizona, I could only enforce laws in the state of Arizona. So if you're telling me that you're going to abolish the agency federally that goes after illegal aliens and enforces federal immigration law, then who's going to do it then? What he's proposing is that we have no federal immigration law enforcement, period. So that means if you come here illegally, no one is there to check you. No one is there to follow up when you don't show up to your immigration meeting, or you don't show up to the immigration trial. You don't show up to your asylum claim trial. No one is there. That means illegal aliens can pour into the country and there's nothing we can do about it. As many as their heart's desire. 605,000 people have been arrested. 60 to 70% were criminals. You're talking 400,000 plus criminals being arrested. And you say they're not doing their job and they should be abolished. Like I don't understand how these people do it. But I'm going to leave it up to y'all. Let me know the verdict. Do you think Mamdani is guilty or not guilty? I want to finish with this. I want to show you guys the verdict bourbon one more time. And I'm telling you this, the best bourbon that I have had thus far. I could not believe it when me and Jim was doing our phases of testing the bourbon and making sure the flavor profile was exactly what we expected to be. I could not believe that they could have that bourbon so smooth and still be good. And we figured, why would we, now we could have, why would we charge you, $200 for this bourbon and we can get you at a really, really good price that's better than everybody else, in my opinion. Therefore, we're going to win. We're going to take over the game. I'm just saying. Because you ain't going to find no bourbon this good at that price point. It's not going to happen. Now, I can't promise in the future it ain't going to be something different, but right now, you better take advantage of it while you can. You got to be 21 and over to participate and go to the website, and you need to be responsible. Responsible drinking, not drunkenness, none of the old crazy stuff. Having a sip here and there in a reasonable way is acceptable. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Follow me on social media at @Tatum. I'll see you on the next one, and I cannot wait to share the grand opening and the verdict and have a sip with you guys. I'm out.
Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'm a proud American from my birth to the grave. 47